What's going on, everybody? Hey, what's going on? What's up? We back.
Back again, it's your boy Troy.
It's your boy Sean.
Hey, we tapped in.
Tapped in as always. So
Man.
we know we getting a little bit of traction last week.
Oh yeah.
So
So we thank y'all for popping in, checking us out.
that's right, and tapping in with us and just enjoying the conversation. So something. Hopefully, it's something that you can take from this conversation. What you can take from this right now is go like and share on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you found us at. Just share it with a friend. Just help us grow our following, our fan base, and help us, just be able to tap into a lot of other people out
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. Hey, y'all said, look, there ain't no shame in my game this week, man. I'm
there.
all geared up. I'm hyped, man.
I have a feeling that you was looking forward to this, man.
Man, listen, man. I want everybody to know, man. This is what we repping right now.
All right, so
Every
that's
green and green.
and that's all good. That's all good right now, man. I can even rock with you right now.
Hey,
But if you get two more wins, that's when we got severed ties, man. We gotta go our separate ways.
it's an if. Yeah, we going. Y'all got a task.
We do. But I talked about it last week. I said, hey, look, if you gotta do it, you might well go through the whole mountaintop.
Mm-hmm.
We go through our arch nemesis, then we gotta go through. A guy who can do it all.
Yeah.
He can run past. Make plays when there's no plays. Then after we get through them, more than likely we gotta go through that man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I told you what happened. In order to beat a man, you gotta
You
beat that
gotta
man.
beat the man.
You
That's
gotta
it.
beat.
That's true. Another true statement. I love this week, man. How my boy got scrutinized, man, for being laid back.
Uh-huh.
But man, I find so much. It's almost like I trust him more
Man.
because he able to do less.
Okay.
Right? Because I watched a lot of quarterbacks this week force
Mhm.
force play, and it ended up terrible.
Right.
When stick with the script, you don't do no more than what you have to do because you
Right.
got all the personnel
Right.
and get the win.
Right.
It's simple, but it's almost like boxing. You want to see the knockout blow,
Right. Right. But you don't respect Floyd's
but you don't
ringmanship.
exactly.
Okay, I
Exactly.
got you. I got you, man. I will tell you, man. There was a couple games that surprised me. One was how the Texans rebounded
Yeah,
for
yeah,
responded. Pretty much going scoreless the whole first half, and then
yeah,
scoring 10 points at the end, and then shutting them out in the second half.
yeah, yeah. That
And
was
then the
good.
other thing was, man, what happened to the Vikings, man?
Yeah. And you know what? Vikings wasn't talked about a whole lot this year, even though they had the top record.
Mhm.
I think everybody sees something knowing that it's not the finishers. They're not the closers.
Right.
They was a great team.
Okay.
It's not closers, man, but it's coming down to the closers now, and I think we do.
Yeah. So now that we on the other side, y'all done got two win. But yeah, that's y'all. No, got your first win. Looking for the second win. Hindsight 50 is 100%. Would you have let Saquon play that last game to get that rushing record?
Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not.
Even though
Looking
you only, you might have a 10-year career and have one time where you can beat that record. You gotta
that's
shut it
that
down.
Super Bowl ring. I mean, when you put it in perspective, and he said the way that he said it about, okay, even this week when he slid, he said you put your defense back out on the field, it's a chance for injury. Anytime you out there, every play, it's a chance for injury.
Right.
We lose Saquon in a game that don't mean anything.
Y'all done.
We done. He's the heartbeat of our offense right now.
Right.
So me as Saquon, I would want to beat the record. But
Right.
me as the GM or the coach,
Nah. Okay. All right. Well, we'll roll. We'll roll with that. We'll roll with that, man. So, after that, man, I know you've been embarking on some new things in your life, man. So
yes
tell
sir.
me how the no meat diet going for you, man. How you feeling?
You know what, man? Interestingly enough, man, it's surprising. It's actually going pretty good,
Mhm.
man. And it's something about not eating the meat, man. It's giving me a lot more energy. I'm
Okay.
less lethargic throughout the day.
Okay.
And you figure I'm about 20 days in now.
Okay.
So I started just a tad bit before New Year. What's the day? The 15th, 16th. So about 17, 18 days. Start a few days for the New Year. And man, I deal with inflammation in certain areas of my body. I haven't even been dealing with that. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Due to the meat. Now, I tell you one thing that I did have to kind of adjust because you want to compensate for that because the meat is like the core part of your meal. So to curb some of that hunger, I started relying on more carbs,
Mhm.
which is a no too. So it kind of got to adjust that. But man, it's cool.
So you just said something, man. It's like, so where did that idea that meat had to be the centerpiece of the meal, where did that come from, man?
Man,
Like that's one of them things that we do and we don't know why we do it.
right,
You know what I mean?
right.
But then when we try to get it out of the way, it becomes an obstacle. But it's like when you look at it, it's like the only reason we do that is because somewhere along the line it was introduced to our families or you know what I mean our parents that you gotta have a meat with your meal.
I think when you go back in time, I'm thinking about going back when we ate off the land and when we had to actually go out and get our meals.
Uh-huh.
I think the meat was the prize because you had to go out there and conquer.
Right.
So that made it the centerpiece. You know what
So
I
you
mean?
didn't get meat all the time.
Yeah, the fruit, the veggies, and all that, that's there. You can grab up on a tree, you can go out in the garden, but to get that meat, you had to go out and hunt something. You know what I
Right.
mean?
But see,
So,
in that scenario, that means you didn't get meat like every single day.
nah, you wasn't. You
Right.
might, yeah, you wasn't. And see, that's where over time when things become more readily available to us,
Uh-huh.
we OD on it. We OD on it.
Yeah, for sure. And then somebody had the great idea of grease and putting
Fry
flour
that.
on it and frying it that make it taste even better. It's like, yo, man, what y'all doing? Yeah, like, and think about it, man. Who got the time to be like, yo, this meat don't taste good enough. I
Right.
got, I got to do it, man.
Yeah.
That's
But
some big back theory right
that is
there.
that is that
Somebody
is.
sitting back like, yo, man, how can I make this even better,
Yeah, and that's somebody like you said had too much time because eating before was just for nourishment and it was for energy.
man? Hmm.
You know what I mean? Because most of the time you didn't have vehicles, you had to walk where you was going. You know what I mean?
Right,
For your task. So back then, you ate out of necessity.
right,
Now we eat out
right.
of comfort, just for
Yeah,
any
or
reason,
pleasure.
pleasure.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. In our households and where we grew up from, everything is based off of a meal.
Right,
I mean, we talked about this before. If it's a party, it's a meal. If
right,
it's a funeral, if it's a meal. If you win, it's a meal. If
right.
you lose,
It's a
it's
meal.
yeah, it's just a meal.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? And we, so I think we got to get back to eating out of necessity. You know what I mean? When
Right.
you need to eat, eating the right things. And I'm not there yet. I'm working on it. You know what I
Right.
mean? But you can definitely feel just for a short period of time when you do. And I know anybody that's out there that have tried dieting before. During that time when you're doing it, you
Mhm.
feel the differences. You
Right.
know, you feel the more energy, but that smell.
Keep calling me, man.
That's
Keep
that
calling.
smell. I'm glad I'm not in the office right now. Cause soon you go in the office, that's the first conversation you have in the morning.
Which was
What's for lunch?
yeah.
And then you start smelling them bags coming. Yeah,
And, you know what I mean? Some of them bags be smelling pretty good, man. But it's crazy because I remember watching a Tabitha Brown interview,
hmm
and she been vegan for years now. And the reason why she did it was because she was dealing with inflammation throughout her body with I guess the meats and stuff that she was
Yes,
eating.
sir. hmm
And it's crazy because I was listening to a guy who was he was struggling with trying to go vegan, vegetarian,
hmm
and he was only wanting to do it for 30 days.
hmm
And her comment to him was, "You done tried it. You done did it your way for 40 years. Why don't you give your body 30 days?
Right. That's it.
Get
Simple as that. Yeah.
give your body 30 days
Yeah.
and see
hmm
how it feels and what it tells you.
That's it.
You know, so yeah, I mean, for me, man, I can't say that I've ever tried to go vegan or anything like that. Probably the closest might have been maybe like pescatarian.
hmm
Um, but I always try to eat a lot of vegetables and stuff like really for me, I try to make just on an everyday life, I try to make the meat the side and then have more of the vegetables. And if it's a healthy starch, like because I don't even like eating like a lot of starches anyway,
Uh
like
huh.
bread and stuff like that.
Right.
Um, like because even like when I want a sandwich, I usually get a wrap. You know,
Right. Yeah.
if I eat rice, it's usually like white rice or long grain rice or something like that. And then I like sweet potatoes.
Oh
You know what
yeah.
I mean, like
Oh
so
yeah.
like the
Yeah.
good
That's
stuff.
all good.
But I could
Yeah.
eat a whole plate of greens, or I could eat some cabbage,
Oh
or
yeah.
um, you know what I mean. So that's nothing to me now. I mean, I ain't eat a whole plate of peas,
Yeah. Right.
but I do have my limits.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
nothing against peas out there. You know what I mean, anybody who's watching. But yeah, no, I it's actually since you said something, it's actually something that I've thought about. Like, man, why not try that? But you have different things in your life that you're trying to work on at different points in
Oh
time,
yeah.
and it's like you
Oh
don't want to try to change everything about you at one time. You know what I
exactly.
mean? Because then you end up saying, you know what, it ain't working, and you'll go back on everything. So it's like build on the consistency of one. Once you kind of got that mastered, then it's like you add something else,
That's
something
it.
else.
That's it. Don't overwhelm yourself, man. I just think over the course of my life and all the things that I had to kind of, well, at I think there's an expiration date for anything. Like I used to smoke,
Right.
and when I used to smoke, the method that I used was okay. I'm smoking a half a pack. Now I'm going to go to maybe 3 or 4 a day. Then I said, you know what? I convinced myself that this next one might be the one that
Take you out.
that in me, that take me out of
Right.
here. So I said, let me leave it alone. And first, like you said, it starts off 30 days, it starts off 60. But once you realize you can function without it and that habit is gone, it's like, why go back?
Right.
You know what I mean? So now 10, 12 years later, it's not even a
Right.
thing. And my body thanks me for it every day.
Right.
So, I mean, the first step is just getting started for whatever your reason is. And then, and sticking with something, man. Because like you said, after that, it's going to be something else. And
Right.
yeah.
There's always gonna be something else that you want to tweak. So speaking of something else that you want to tweak, is it a good like sometimes for you, do the tweaks come just because it's a change that you want to make in your life, or do sometimes the tweaks come because you've been inspired by something else you've seen um, happening around you, or something that you feel like you should be doing or you could be doing better? I say inspire, but that could easily be a form of envy or jealousy, right? That's used in the right way.
Hmm.
And and like most people will think envy and jealousy, and it will automatically go to the negative aspects of it, of hating, of what I mean, just the things you'll do or say about somebody that you're envious or
Hmm.
jealous of. But sometimes that same emotion can evoke change that you should be doing yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, like, in most cases, is it an inside job where it's something that you've been thinking about, and there's a trigger inside of you, or is it an inside job where it's something that you've been thinking about, and then you see something happening, or you see somebody making the strides that that you should be making in your life, and it's like, you know what, this one obstacle that I'm allowing to get in my way is what's holding me back.
Hmm.
My discipline, my consistency, and you see somebody executing that on a daily
Hmm.
basis, sometimes that can be the catalyst for change
Oh yeah,
for people.
absolutely, absolutely. And that envy, and that aspect is more of a term of endearment. I've had people say to me, or I've said to someone, "Man, I envy you." And the conversation is, it's not, "Hey, I'm jealous or I'm hating on you." I envy you because you was able to get over whatever hurdle it was and take them steps to doing what I'm aspiring to do, but you're
Right.
actually doing it. So it's like that envy then turns into motivation.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now jealousy, and I don't even know. I don't. I'm not even going into like the what the meaning of the words. I
Right.
can't really. 'Cause envy and jealousy, I don't think they're the exact same thing.
Hmm.
But now jealousy to me seems like it has some intent behind it.
Hmm.
Jealousy is more of, I think that's more on the hating side. Whenever
Right.
you get
Like
jealous,
I want what you.
I
I want
want
exactly what you have.
right,
The thing, everything that
right,
you got, I want it for
right.
myself. Okay.
And when we're talking about envy, I think envy, just envy the fact that they're doing
Yeah. Hmm.
it, and that envy can lead to a conversation. Like, how did you get started? Why did you get
Right.
started? And then that motivates you.
Right.
So yeah, I don't think that's always a bad place to be.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think either consciously or subconsciously, we're all inspired in ways. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whether it's a conversation, whether it's a post, whether it's just, being around somebody and actually watching them. Now, that's probably the best motivation when you see somebody being consistent in that thing that you want to do.
Right.
Yeah, it motivates you, man. But on the flip side, if it doesn't motivate you to want to do better, then it could motivate you to want to sabotage what they have going on, and then that's when it turns into
Into
that jealousy.
jealousy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, there's a big difference because you see a lot of times, man, especially with the younger generations, a lot of times that's what they're dealing with,
Hmm.
right? They're dealing rather it be something that the person is doing good, um, or something that the person is doing bad. In most cases, when a life is taken, it's because somebody's at a status level that they want it to
Yeah.
be at, right? And they doing the things, they got the money, they got the whips, they got the girls, and it's just like it 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 makes them so mad and so jealous that not only do they want to have what they want, but they want to take it,
Yeah.
and taking it means if I can't have it, you ain't gonna have it either.
That's coveting. That's when you
Right.
start to covet what somebody else have, and the thing of it is, you never know the price that someone else paid to be where they at, and that's a dangerous place to be,
It
man.
is.
Yeah, so I want to move into your house. I don't know what you pay. Right?
Right.
I don't know the agreements you made with the people you in cahoots with.
Right.
So when I take your position, am I willing to go through
What you went through.
everything through to get it?
Right.
But that's not what they see. They see the glitz, they see the glam, they see the house, the cars, the females, but they don't see the stress and what all that's attached to it.
Stress and the sacrifice. You know what I mean? It's almost like that syndrome where, the person that never had anything wins the lottery, right? It's just like they win the lottery, but they still the same person that they was the day before they won the lottery.
Mm,
So the skill set that was required for the person who maybe has that same amount of wealth but had to work for it, like the wealth isn't the thing to them. It wasn't the motivator. It wasn't the sole motivator,
uh-huh.
right? So there was something that they were trying to attain along the way, whether it was build a company or sell a company, or there was a
Hmm.
goal attached to it, and there was lessons and things that they had to learn, sacrifices that they had to make
Exactly.
in order to get to that place, and they had to understand what what money really was. And money
Hmm.
money was just a tool to help them get to that
Exactly.
end goal, as
Exactly.
opposed to being everything.
Mm.
Somebody who's never had anything thinks that money is going to change everything,
Right.
and it doesn't.
Nah, not at all. If not, it's going to cause more problems
Right.
if you don't know how to, actually utilize it. But that's a good point that you made up, man. And it also kind of made me think about something I was looking at today. Even if like this, you as a father, of a leader of your household, you and your wife, your spouse, y'all work hard, you build, right?
Mhm.
And then you get to a point, okay, now we want to create this will and we want to leave an inheritance to, because that's all that should be all about, going leave an inheritance to our kids and stuff like that. But what do you say to someone who spent their lifetime building that, and you don't see the qualities in your kids, or the people that you want to put in your will, you don't see the qualities in them to be able to either take care of what you're going to leave them, or do you, if you feel like they're squandered away, do you think it's still a wise thing to leave it?
I don't. I don't.
What
You
do
know
you
what I mean?
do?
I think an inherit. Most people think of an inheritance as just money, right?
Mm,
But also an inheritance is if you're fortunate enough to grow around parents that are wise, and learn and try to teach you, pour into you as an individual, mentor
mm-hmm.
you as their child, lead you in the right way. That in and of itself is an inheritance. Why is that an inheritance? Because there's a lot of people out there that don't come from a two-parent household, come from a single family household, or maybe weren't even raised by their parents in
Mm,
general, or had to raise themselves, and they have to spend the first, I'm gonna say, half of their life, if they're lucky, or the first at least third of their life, by the time they're in their mid 20s, you know what I
uh-huh.
mean, trying to figure out how to operate in this world, like having a moral and code and a compass on how to treat and deal with people.
Mm,
And so an inheritance, part of inheritance is you having the luxury of being able to have somebody who can pour into you and teach you how life really operates and how to operate throughout life and how to treat people
Hmm.
and to know that I mean your word means your word means everything,
Oh yeah.
and it supersedes you. So the things that you do on a day-to-day basis will show up in places before you even get there,
Okay.
right?
Uh-huh.
And that will dictate kind of the path of life that you have. You can and the choices that you make now can either make life easier for you or it's going to make it harder for you. And then those little lessons along the way,
Hmm.
allowing them to be able to fail at some things because that's how they need to learn. And
Hmm.
then also knowing when to step in and guide them and say, hey, look, I know I see what you're doing. I've allowed you to be able to 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 navigate through that. But why don't you try this? And here's why, right? This is what I've learned in life, and this is what I know that will work and will help you. Like that, that's an inheritance
Hmm.
as well. Now, my dreams and my goals and my aspirations is, and I can only speak for me
Uh-huh.
personally. You know what I mean? Because I do feel like I do want to leave. I work every day to be able to leave my kids an inheritance, but um, that's my goal. That's my goal
Mm.
for them.
So it shouldn't come with attachments.
Right. So it's my goal for them.
Right.
My goal for them isn't their expectation of what I'm supposed to do.
Mm. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
My
Uh-huh.
goal is to leave you an inheritance. But if along the way I see that I don't think that you're going to be a good steward of it, or you might squander everything that I did, I would much rather, I will still leave you something.
Hmm.
It's not going to be at the magnitude of what I would have because it's not going to be any good for you. You know what I mean? It's almost just like you know, on our day-to-day lives, there may be things that we ask and we pray for, but
Uh-huh.
God don't give them to us because He know that at this point in time in our life, it's going to be a detriment to us,
Right.
right? And so the same thing, it's like if I see a pattern in my children, and I had planned on giving them X, Y, Z, and I'm like, man, if something ever happened to me and they get all of that right now, it is not going to be good for them, right? And
Uh-huh.
it's going to it could end up hurting them more than it could help them. And in that case, oddly enough, I've worked with investors and people who have a lot of wealth, and a lot of them they'll put it in a trust, and then
Uh-huh.
they'll direct it to things that they love. They may say, "Look, I've got all of these properties, or I've got all of this money. The interest that comes off of this money each year,
Hmm.
it belongs to the trust. I want you to give X amount of dollars to St. Jude. I want you to give X amount of dollars to, let's just say, University of Maryland Eastern
Uh-huh.
Shore. You know what I mean? So as that continues to make money, and honestly, that's probably if I had to do that, that's probably the route I would go. Is
Uh-huh.
have a trust set up. All my assets would go into there, and then it would go to different organizations and things that I'm passionate and I care about, and it
Hmm.
will continue to give out.
That, and that's great. It's great. I think that's definitely a great way to do it. But how does that not lead to contention in the family? See, because all kids, even though they eat dinner at the same tables and everything,
Mhm.
they all live different. They learn different. So you might have one responsible one. You say, okay, they've shown me that they could be entrusted with this. So I'm going to leave X, Y, Z.
Mhm.
Now, looking at it, you say, okay, I want to be fair.
Yeah. And that's what it starts with. It
It's
starts with being fair to everybody,
right,
right? You're my child, you get your inheritance.
right. But when one child start to see, okay, this is more than that. He entrusted me with more over here. Do you think that could be lead to like family?
I think if you have, I think that's all about being honest
And
and
transparent
being
with,
transparent with it.
yeah, while
Like,
you're
look,
here.
yeah, like, hey, look, you're not making good decisions with and I'm not, for us to live the life that we wanted to.
Right.
you know the benefit of that is that when we're gone, that we have the luxury to be able to pass it on to you. That does not guarantee that you can do whatever you want and expect to be able to get XYZ.
Right.
That's going to be based off of, what I think is best for you and what I think you're going to do with the money. Now, I'm not saying everybody, I'm not everybody who hasn't had a lot of money, or even if they've grown up with money, they get a large windfall. I expect them to blow some money,
Oh yeah.
but not all of it. You know what I mean? Like, or even if you blow all of it, right? Even if you blow all of it, it's like it's gonna or the all that you blow is gonna be the all that I'm allow you to
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
You know what
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so you can blow it, you can do whatever you want with it.
Hmm.
You can reinvest it. I mean, because your thing might not be real estate like mine. Your thing might be stocks or crypto or
Yeah.
any
Well,
other
you can
small
possibly
business.
lose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which you could possibly lose. I mean, your thing can be whatever you want, but I'm gonna put you in position that you can do whatever you want to a certain degree. Now, after that, it's just like then I'm gonna invest in things that meant a lot to me while I was living, which is what I mean, like children, elderly, widows,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
things like
Yeah. Yeah.
that. Like
No doubt.
that, those are the people that because God said that we're gonna always have them.
I think also important thing when you have siblings, when you have kids, things is grooming them along the way too. Because I feel like if people have sweat equity, if they like actually got skin in the game some type of way,
Yeah,
they're more prone to protect their investments or whatever it is. But if they kind of sit back on the outside and watch you work,
they
and it's
don't know.
like I
They
didn't
don't
put
value
nothing
it.
into it. I don't have no value. So you somewhere along the line you gotta say, hey, come on and pull them in and get the hands dirty and teach them a little something.
So for you, if that's something would that affect the way you divvied out inheritance? So like if you have an inheritance and out of your kids, it's like, hey, I need you to help me, and it's like one, what I mean, you got one that don't ever want to help you, don't ever want to do anything. But is that gonna affect? I'm not gonna say gonna, but do you think that might play a role in how you divvy out what you live?
Absolutely, absolutely. If you working beside me and you know the inner workings and you helping pushing me to the next level and you working beside me, then yeah, I think your portion of the pie should be a little bigger because
Okay.
you understand it.
Right, right,
Yeah,
right, right.
yeah.
Yeah, and you understand, and the value, like you understand the value and the passion and the work
Right.
that you put into it. I mean, it's no different than like man, you're a car guy,
Hmm.
right? Um, I like cars, but I'm not a car guy like you are.
Right.
And so you might have this one car that you really love, what I mean, that you have until you leave out of here.
Hmm.
Well, if you got one of your kids that don't care enough about cars, like why don't you leave them the car?
Yeah, yeah. It's useless,
It's
isn't it?
useless. It's like, oh, my dad like this car, but it's worth a lot of money. I'm gonna sell it. But then you might have another child that love cars just as much as you do, and if you get a car to them,
Hmm.
man, that thing might go forever, man.
Yeah.
So and that's still not a guarantee, but just the level of respect and value that they show to something that you cared about or put a lot of time into. I think that does affect,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's no different. I mean, it's no different than the talents that we gave, that God gave us, right?
Right.
He evaluated us off what we do with it.
That's it. Much is given, much
Much
is
required.
required.
Right,
So if I give you one or two, then hey, stay proficient in those.
right.
But some people
Some
have
people
a
don't.
lot more, but you have to use them and produce
Abundantly.
increase.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
increase. So
Yeah.
yeah.
You can't just sit stagnant.
So I got a question, man. I'm going off script just a little bit, really quick here, because I was reading something today. I'm always reading something, man. So a guy was at a game. I'm not, and he said the kid, 3, 4 years old, maybe 5, seen one of their favorite players.
Hmm.
Favorite player signed a jersey,
Ah,
gave
seen
to the kid. Um, gave the jersey to the
it.
kid. Maybe a few weeks later, dad had the jersey up for
Well,
for auction, and it had come to maybe like 10K. It was up to like 10K for a signed jersey.
hmm.
We know what jerseys cost.
Right.
We know, yeah, I mean, it's a signature. So I'm reading the comments, and in the comments, everybody's like, "Oh, you still in a precious moment from that kid? You taking a memento that he's gonna."
Mhm.
And at first, I was like, "Ah, man, he's foul." But then I'm start thinking, we don't know the sacrifice that man went through to even take his kid to a game. To us, taking a kid to the game is nothing.
Mhm.
To some households who don't have that extra, it could have been a whole sacrifice, and it could have been his blessing. That jersey could have been the family's blessing.
Right,
I,
right.
I think so, because at the end of the day, that kid don't know the value of that yet. Later on, he would, but maybe some. He snapped some photos. I'm not saying I would do it because I'm not in a position where I would have to do it.
Right.
But if we on the brink of foreclosure and this jersey can,
Yeah, take
and
you
I
out of
don't
it.
have no other outlet to get this type of money,
Right,
why not?
right. So it's crazy, man. Because if you say that, man, I was thinking, I was like, man, that's foul. Like, I mean, he messing it up for everybody. You know what I mean? Because now the next time that athlete, somebody want to swap jersey, he's like, what you gonna do with the jersey? You know what I mean?
Right,
Or he might would have signed it, and now he's not gonna sign it. You know what I mean? Because he don't know what you're gonna do with the jersey.
right.
But I mean, but athletes sell their signature all of the time. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
So you're right. Without having the context
Uh huh.
of why he's selling a
Uh
jersey,
huh.
it's not right for me to pass judgment and say one way or the other.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can say what I would have done, but now I'm using myself as a standard. I don't know what his life situation is. And I
Exactly.
don't know what he's going through. Now, what I did think about, like I try to put myself in those shoes, and it's just like, how would I feel if I was the athlete? And I swapped the jerseys. It was like, I mean, it was a heartstring moment. You know what I mean? You see the little kid next to the father. You know what I mean? Hey, we got a Wimby jersey on. Will you swap jerseys with me? I'm like, you know what I mean? That's cute. You know what I mean? Yeah, I never done this before. I do it. And then to me, I would do it. And like, okay, well, I would think or hope that they would hold on to it. But if they sold it, like, you know what? I get it. You know what I mean? That's a choice that I made.
Well, let me ask you this: what athlete do you think is going to remember or even look for little old you once they give you that jersey? It's out of sight, out of mind anyway. So
Right.
they really don't. They're not connected to it in no type of way.
Right.
So
Yeah, no. So like, in all honesty, and I say that, but when they sign stuff all the time. Like I sign documents and stuff like that. I don't think nothing about it. But you know what I mean? Like for them, that's the same way. I mean, they may spend 2 hours a day signing their
right,
autograph on stuff, and it's like, you know what? That's the same thing. This just happens to have a little bit more ambiance around it, or
because
what
I
do they
actually
call it in
wore
the
this.
art world? It's ambiance.
But
When it's something that
ambiance
has
is
a little bit more prestige, like
okay.
I mean, if you had a Wimby jersey that was just signed,
Right.
as opposed
To
to
war.
to Wimby jersey that was worn,
Mm-hmm.
that you see the kid holding it up, signed,
Mm.
and you see that this came from that kid's family,
Right.
carries a lot more weight than the other one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's a story behind
And that's making the father's point even more. It's worth. I mean, it's worth a whole lot more
it.
too.
Right, right,
Yeah,
right.
since you
They
put it
said,
that way.
yeah, yeah.
But
So
yeah, I mean, hey man, sometimes you gotta use what you got in your hands, man.
yeah, for sure, for sure, for
Gotta
sure.
use what you got in your hands.
But I
Not
mean, something like that can bring up a lot of drama and chaos, though. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, if y'all ain't on the same page, man. So, like, what if you're, I mean, you figure there's some people, man, that want drama and chaos. And so that could be something that
could.
tie right into it, and how does that play in people's lifestyle, man?
You say it all the time, man. I say it all the time. I know brothers who grew up in chaotic situations, seeing like that's where they thrive the best. So when they make the transition and become like family men or become, successful, it's always like they need that little hint of drama or chaos to feel alive or to feel lively. Well, and that sometimes that could be self-sabotaging.
Hmm.
I mean, I see a lot of people self-sabotage. If you come from, I mean, I see it even with pastors sometimes, man. You go on Facebook, you see them that preach that message, and they can't preach without talk about how they used to knock jokers out or how they used to fight. Like, come on, man, we passed all this now.
Right,
That chaoticness, man, for what?
right,
It's okay to be like, I want peace.
right.
I want peace. I want serenity.
Hmm.
That's my goal.
Hmm.
You know, but some people, even within family structures, man, and it's probably due to the upbringing or the neighborhoods they come up in. They just love that drama aspect. Because without that, what are they talking about? What do
Right.
we have to talk about? You
Right.
know?
And so for me, man, I think it really does come down to those formative years. You know, from the time you're born to the time you're about 9 or 10 years old.
Hmm.
I mean, whatever kind of environment that you grew up during that time, I think it shapes and molds your your view and your perception of the world, right?
Hmm.
And so you think if whatever's going on in your life isn't going on in everybody else's life, there's something wrong with either their life or your life, right?
Hmm.
So if you grew up with a lot of stress and depression and things like that, um, and you get older, you almost kind of expect those feelings to be around,
Hmm.
even though you may be making decisions that put you in a position where that has
Doesn't happen.
it
Right.
doesn't happen.
Hmm.
But then that also can put you in this position of kind of like survivor's remorse. You know, like where now you're on this.
Oh, right. So you feel bad for the folks you left behind or the situation. But yeah.
Right. Or the fact that they can't, they wasn't able to decision make their way out of that. And their
Hmm.
mind frame and the way that they think and view life is still the way that your 9, 8, 7 year old self saw life. And it's just like, yo, we grown now and you still stuck back here and wanting this same kind of chaotic dysfunction. You still want that to be a part of your life when right now you actually have a choice to not be involved in that?
And you know what? The sad part is that's not based off of finances or anything because a prime example, you turn on your TV and you got housewives of this, you got doctors' wives, you got NBA, this and that. Like these all people that have made it. You're out the struggle,
Right.
you out the, you know what I mean, and still drama. Like that's the last thing I want on my radar. You give me that type of bread, put me in that limelight. You couldn't pay me to be on a show just to promote chaos and drama. Like,
And then you think about it. I mean, like a lot of times in like in low income areas, we spend so much time in drama and and like high pressure environments, trying to make bills, trying to make ends meet, trying to just survive.
uh huh,
That you never really have time to just sit and think, right? And then that to me that was almost like a trap for us.
uh huh,
Like occupy them, don't allow them to use their mind,
mm, mm-hmm.
and they'll continue to do what they're doing over there. But as soon as they get some free time and they can start to use their mind, they'll start to see how smart and how bright and how talented they really
Wow,
are. You
wow,
know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
And like I think that that is what happens when some people get pulled back into that drama and that chaos,
Uh huh,
that they can start to see and think at a level that maybe they didn't even think that they had,
mm-hmm.
and they get afraid.
Oh yeah.
They
So they
get
go back to that familiar place.
they go back to that familiar place, or they
Mm-hmm.
need a piece of that familiar place because they think that
Right.
they have that has to be a part of them. When
Yeah.
sometimes it's like, okay, that's that part of you is what molded you, even though you don't like those things and those things that maybe had bad emotional attachments to it.
Mm-hmm.
Those things is that's the fire that produced what you are today,
Right.
right? And sometimes you got to be at a place of being grateful and thankful of where you are. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of kind of like looking back, like why me? Why did I get the favor? Why did I get the grace to be able to get out of that? And it's just like instead of that, like, hey, I'm thankful. I'm
I'm thankful
grateful
and forever
that
grateful. That's
that
it.
that
That's
I'm
it.
not there, right?
Right.
And
Uh
that I
huh.
do have a different perspective and a different mindset
Oh yeah.
on life, man. So if you find yourself in that place, man, just continue to chase peace, to chase uh
Yes.
yeah,
Awareness, man.
awareness, being drama free, being able to be able to sit and think. I mean, like that is a luxury. A lot of people say,
Mm-hmm.
a Mercedes Benz or you know a BMW is luxury. No, luxury is the ability to be able to know that all of your bills and stuff you're paid, your family's good, you got food in the refrigerator, and you can take vacation, when you want to, and you can sit and come home and you can just relax and think
in peace,
in
without
peace.
without a bunch of chaos around you and a bunch of unwarranted, they call it messy,
Right.
messy people. And sometimes you can evaluate yourself if you're the person that people run to be messy, then it's kind of time to sit back and say, let me evaluate why they're so comfortable
Coming to me.
coming to me.
Right. Right.
Because people know they can't just come to me and just start talking about this and that. Because I don't feed into that. Because I'm trying to find the good in everything. That's
Right.
just my outlook on things.
Right. And then some people got to realize. I mean, they want to. They don't realize that when they want to get that stuff out, that they dumping it on somebody else.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like you want to get it out of your system, but your way of getting it out of your system is dumping it in mine.
Mm-hmm.
Like no,
Right.
what
We're
I mean?
not trash cans.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
trash.
we're not trash cans. You're
Not a
not
trash
dumping that
can.
into me.
I mean, so you got to. I mean, and in order to once you get to that place where you have that peace and you have that comfort, then you got to protect that peace and you got to protect that comfort. You
Yeah.
know, and sometimes that means protecting it from some of the people that's closest to you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So like on a lighter note, man, we always want to try to end the shows on, something that is real estate related or home ownership related. And so this tip is for anybody who has kids and has credit cards. One really easy hack that you can do to help build your kids' credit score before they even know it, before they even know it, they have any credit, is add them as an authorized user on one of you on the credit card that you have the best history, the best uh, uh, balance to debt ratio on,
Mm-hmm.
and the one that you've had the longest. Why? Because if you have a child that's 18 and you add them as an authorized user and you've had that card for 18 years, now that child automatically inherits 18
18
years
years
worth of
of good
credit,
credit history.
of
Mm-hmm.
good credit history.
Nice.
So, and then on top of that, if the debt to income, so if you got a $10,000 card and you only got a $200 balance on it, like that shows that they can manage their debt.
Right.
So, out of the gate, when they can start getting a credit score, their credit score is going to be seven to 800 credit score right out the gate
Wow.
before they even try to apply for anything. Before they may even come to you and say, hey, mom, dad, I want to try to get, X, Y, Z. But I don't have no credit. You know what I mean? And you
Mm-hmm.
can kind of downplay it, like, okay, well, let's see what you can do on your own, and go from there. And then
Uh-huh.
they realize they got a good credit score, but hopefully at that point in time you talk to them about credit,
Mm-hmm.
and talk to them about paying bills on time, and again, not digging themselves in a hole early, so that they can, as they get older, they've got a nest egg, and they've got a good credit history, and they're not in a lot of debt, and they can do the things that they want to do, rather it's purchase a house or purchase a car, or anything like that. They're in a situation where now they're setting their self up and their family's future up for success.
Absolutely, and they have a much better chance at making it than the kid that had a cable bill since he was 3 years old in his name.
Right. That went to collections, 5 years before he turned 18.
Man,
You know what I mean? And
right.
then now he or she's gotta, work with the credit bureaus and try to get that stuff taken off. I mean, much different scenario. And
Oh
that's
yeah.
the thing that's been going on for years. I mean, that's not something that's new. That's just something that was never taught in our community. So, we always want to try to leave you with something, a piece of financial literacy that you can take, and improve on your life. And the second thing, which I actually didn't even have, but the second thing is, in lieu of the fires that happened in California, one insurance hack is, on every year, rather it be at the end of the year or the beginning of the year, it would be a great idea. Everybody has cell phones where you can record, go in your house, record every room, record record all of your
Your
your valuables, your jewelry, use that same time if for your wedding rings to get those reappraised.
Hmm.
But more importantly, like the smaller jewelry that you might forget about if you was in a fire. Your sneaker collection, a lot of sneakerheads out there.
Oh
So
yeah, no
you know what I
doubt.
mean. You want to go through and just make sure you got all of that stuff on video in the event of in the unfortunate event that something like that happens to you. You've got video proof of you walking through the house, pointing out the items, family heirlooms and things like
Oh
that.
yeah, oh
That
yeah.
sometimes they can't be replaced, but they do have a value. And that way it allows for you to be able to recover because what's definitely going to happen and what some of those people out in California right now are realizing is that they remember some stuff, but it's a lot of stuff that they're not going to remember.
Up
That they're
till
not.
years down the road, and they till you go look for those mementos and look for those boxes, and then you realize
Hey, that was burnt up.
after the claim is closed out,
Right.
long gone.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that should be a yearly thing. Just like you change your lights and your smoke detectors, you should go through and just do an inventory of your house on your camera. You know what I mean? You don't have to put values on it at that time, but at least you got a guide. So if something like that happens, you can go back and start putting values on things in your house.
No doubt, no doubt. It's good
Right.
stuff. Good stuff.
So cool. So hey, we thank y'all. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Hope you're enjoying this, and we appreciate all of the new subscribers that we've had. And we just want you to continue to like and share, and just give us your input if there's things that you want us to talk about, or even if you just say, hey, you guys keep doing what you're doing. We love the content. We love the show. If you got any guest ideas or people that you would like to hear on the show, we'd like for you to comment on that as well.
No doubt. We appreciate the support and the encouragement, and we're here to encourage you back, y'all.
All right.
Stay tapped in.
Peace.